I'm not actually reading this. This is a journal that you can actually buy on my Future PhD store. Link in the description. But in all seriousness, today is a reading vlog. And that's because I have signed up to be a part of a dissertation writing boot camp. And one of the requirements for the dissertation writing boot camp is that you read an entire dissertation before coming to the boot camp. And since the boot camp is next week, I thought today would be a great day for me to get my life together, sit down, and read an actual dissertation. Though I will say reading an entire dissertation in just one day is actually pretty ambitious for me, and I foresee 3 major challenges. First, I don't like to read. Second, dissertations are super duper long. And third, I get distracted very, very easily. And as a product of all of these challenges, I am trying to approach this whole reading thing with a game plan. So first thing I'm going to do is trying to find a dissertation that is directly connected to my research, or at least something that I find interesting. This way I can try to make it where I don't feel overwhelmed trying to read it, or if I get bored, instead it hopefully will become more of a pleasurable process because I'm interested in the thing I'm reading. The next thing that I'm going to try to do is to break down my reading expectations into smaller chunks, probably about 20 to maybe 30 pages, or like an hour, hour and a half at a time tops. This way, again, that helps with my distraction, but also helps me not feel overwhelmed with the sensation that I have an entire dissertation to read, and instead I'm just going to focus on the task at hand. The third thing is I'm reading this dissertation for my dissertation writing boot camp, which means I'm not reading it for comprehension. So when I am approaching this project, or when I'm approaching today's reading day, if I get to a point in the dissertation where I'm not getting writing inspiration, where the format or the voice just do not fit me as a writer or fit my dissertation topic or style, then I'm going to keep it pushing, because there's no reason for me to make myself read every single word, every single page, if it's not helping me write my dissertation. And that's the purpose of today's reading. So instead of trying to read everything and understand everything, I'm really trying to pull out formats, voice, and style to help me write a better dissertation. Okay, so I found a dissertation actually from somebody in my department who published or went through their dissertation process with the same chair as me. And I thought that would be a useful thing to include or to look at, since, you know, the chair is the person that signs off on your dissertation. It's nice to see an example of a good dissertation, or a dissertation they thought was good. So looking at this dissertation, it's also kind of similarly structured or has similar components as mine. There's a case study model where they're looking at particular spaces that are art spaces in Mexico, no less. And there's even aspects in the introduction that are autoethnographic, or talking more about their experience, which is actually really a key component to my dissertation. So far I'm actually enjoying the reading process, and it's helping me think through what my dissertation can look like. I think now that I'm out of the introduction and going into the first chapter, I'm a little intimidated because I can already see the language change a little bit, where they're starting to use more like big words and academic jargon, which my dissertation definitely is not doing because that's just not how I write. So again, kind of afraid of spending a lot of time trying to comprehend and sticking to my goal of like reading for writing structure and not comprehension. But I'm moved positions to kind of give myself a breath of fresh air to keep working. But so far it's going really well, and I hope that this first chapter is also such a smooth read as well. Okay, I'm on page like 50. I'm not done with the first chapter, but I'm already starting to burn out or just not feel it anymore. I want to take a break, but what I think I'm going to do before I take a break is just skim through the rest of the chapter to see if any like huge format changes happen, or like if I notice any verbiage change. And then if so, then I'll try to finish and read that with a little more attention. But if not, then I will skip through the rest of chapter 1 and see if chapter 2 is just like a carbon copy of chapter 1, but like with a different case study, or if it does something completely different. But so far I'm feeling really good. And after I do this scan, when I get to the break, I'll kind of give you a rundown of some things that I've noticed and things that I think will help me and things that I probably won't do. So I didn't actually take my break. Eric went out to go do something, and so I thought I should come to the balcony to do some reading since it's really nice out here. Some things that I've noticed about this dissertation that is not necessarily my fave is just how long some of the chapters are. I want to be fair and say not all the chapters are very long, but like the first chapter was almost 70 pages. I'm about halfway through the second chapter now, and it's more like 40 pages, and it seems like every new chapter gets a little bit shorter. And I know for me in my dissertation, I'm trying to truncate or keep my chapters between 30 and 40 pages, but it's nice to see like, okay, if my chapter does go a little bit longer, that my committee chair won't like push me out and feed me to the birds because of it. I also really like that this dissertation is structured how I imagine my dissertation being structured, where there's 4 main chapters, an intro and a conclusion. So I see that that's something that can work. Something else that's really positive or that I really enjoy from this dissertation is the voice and the flow. It's a lot less academic-y than I thought it was. At first I was like, oh my goodness, what are these words? What do they mean? But as you read, you start to see it unfold and you realize it's more of a telling of history and then picking out very important aspects of this history or these moments to help you better understand what's going on in the case study so they can do the analysis. And I think that's really helpful for me in my dissertation, since I am also looking at case studies and history is super important to what I'm doing. I also really think that the flow of it is really nice. And this is the part of the dissertation that I'm still working on, is just finding my own voice and bringing the audience or the reader in a way where they can stay engaged throughout the entire thing and not have a moment where they're disconnected or feel like they don't have enough information to understand what's going on. I think it really unfolds in a very methodological way that helps the reader understand, oh, this is what's happening and this is what's happening next, and this is why it matters. And I think that's really positive. I'm going to keep reading for a little bit longer until it gets, super dark. And then when Eric gets back, I'll probably chill for him for a while. I will say, all in all, I think I'm kind of getting the gist of the writing structure of this dissertation. So I think I may skim through the third and maybe even the fourth chapter and then just see what the conclusion is looking like, so I have an idea of how people conclude their dissertation or wrap up their dissertation, because I currently have no idea how I would do that. But I do think it's been very useful to sit down with this dissertation and get a good idea of what it sounds like. I just feel like the third and fourth chapter probably aren't going to be structurally all that different or formatted all that different than the first chapter, the second chapter, and the introduction. So I just ordered some food. We're eating acai because that's one of our favorite things to eat in Brazil, and you can only get the good stuff in Brazil. I've skimmed through chapters 3 and 4 and kind of read through the conclusion, and I'm actually feeling confident about my dissertation. How I'm currently writing it feels really good and kind of aligned with what I'm reading, and also it's giving me ideas of what could be possible. So I'm feeling pretty pumped about the dissertation writing boot camp, which again is next week. And don't worry, I will vlog all about that. So if that interests you, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed this reading vlog and want to see more reading vlogs, hit the thumbs up. That also really helps me grow, while also sharing this video with others who may need it. I want to thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week.